Here we go. So welcome everyone to our Monday morning global heart resonance call. And this morning, would love to just invite everyone to just tune into these words, just living resonance. As we're going to open our hearts this morning with Henry, who's joining us and who has so kindly offered this beautiful focus, this reflection. And excited to say I'm in a new home. It's very exciting, surrounded by this beautiful crescent of mountains. So just a short opportunity to come inside and to internally feel into this vibrational field of living resonance. This place where we are in the unity field already, where we're recognizing our wholeness, and being willing to just soften, feel into this beautiful softening, where we just take a few breaths and we just relax into the field itself, relax into this celebration and joy and dance of life. And within this field, we're tapping into this undulating experience of vibrancy and vitality in the full knowing that we are the light. And we are this energetic expression as we embody this. Raza was sharing this beautiful experience of embodying the resonant field, that there is no separation. And we just drop into that undercurrent of loving presence here this morning. We begin our day and we begin our week with this experience of gratitude. Gratitude in how the universe, how the angelic realms, how the ancestors show up in this really core essence of who we be as a collective. And very gently just coming back to this beautiful tapestry of love and light. And I just feel really privileged and to be here with you guys and expanding this field of love. So before Henry offers us this beautiful theme, I want to just remind us on this call that you can speak more than once. I'm just speaking 1 to 2 minutes because we're consciously building a coherent field, expanding that. And we're also consciously listening for the thread of what is evolving, just like a river's current. If we were on a boat, or I love to say in a waka, just tracking that undercurrent that's wanting to express itself through us and as us, and sharing the seeds of your story, really sharing the bottom line and what's continuing to weave as we really are weaving this beautiful fabric. Also, in regards to the chat, I just want to remind people to really stay off the chat because it becomes a little bit distracting. Even if you want to share websites or whatever, just unless it's a sort of emergency, can be committed to staying off that chat. I know a lot of other calls use it, but here let's just keep it simple. And I think that's it. And really trusting the silence in between each person, that beautiful liminal space, that pause, where we deepen into the field. So with that, I hand you Henry. I actually have a beautiful crystal for us to pass this morning. Placing this over to you, Henry.
Thank you, Shelley. Good morning, everyone. So as we rest in the energies of living resonance and our connection with the river of the heart, the theme for today is opening the heart. Opening the heart chakra involves taking down those defenses to experience the love that is the natural state of being. That is from Anodea Judith. And the next couple paragraphs, next couple sections are from her as well. Welcome to the heart of the journey. Now that you have entered, aligned, and activated your 3 lower chakras, the key to open the 4th chakra is to soften, which will then allow you to open and expand. Perhaps invite you to place your hand on your heart. In the hard masculine world of today, there is too little emphasis on softness. And this is as true in yoga classes as anywhere else. 3rd chakra yoga uses effort and strength to push to new levels. 4th chakra yoga moves from doing to being, from effort to surrender, from masculine strength to yielding tenderness. Softening opens the gateway of the heart. This could mean softening your body or your breath, but it also points to softening your judgments or stance toward another person or situation. Next time you find yourself holding a hard line with someone, try softening your stance and see what happens. Softening allows things to join, to match their edges together. It invites openness, connection, and reception. Once you find your alignment in a pose, notice if you are rigid or if you have the ability to soften your face, your eyes, your shoulders, and most of all, your heart. This next part is from Elizabeth Clear, Prophet. Both Eastern and Western adepts tell us that the greatest power in the universe is softness. Lao Tzu used the analogy of water, something many of us are very familiar with. There's nothing softer and weaker than water, yet there is nothing better for attacking hard and strong things. The weak overcomes the strong, and the soft overcomes the hard. The softest, most pliable thing in the world runs roughshod over the firmest thing in the world. Softness is a receptive mode where unnatural, forceful human actions give way to the natural movement of the heart. Softness is a nurturing, giving attitude that does not take offense. Softness is the opposite of brittleness, rigidity, or resistance. Brittle things can break, but softness is flexible and can bend. And as a wise commentator once said, "Blessed are the flexible, for they shall not be bent out of shape." And that is the principle behind martial arts. They are based on cultivating inner energies and developing softness, which will triumph over the use of external muscular force. The body appears to be soft and gentle externally, but has great concentration of internal power. So, an inquiry, how might or does softening help open the gateway of your heart? Or perhaps what helps your heart to soften? Just take a breath. A gentle, soft breath. And now place the talking crystal into the center of the circle, and just want to remind you to remember to leave a space of silence between sharings.
Good morning, all. I have missed you, not being in my own home and comfort, to be with you. When I was hearing the words, I was asking myself, what is it that brings my defenses down? That I can be more flexible and meet the edges of myself in that awareness and match it with another one. When I heard that question, I realized what soften and melt my heart is when I get to see your beauty. When in meeting those edges, you allow me to see your beauty. That is my weakness. And my biggest strength. My deep desire is that while I'm still around, to be able to create that kind of intimate, deep connection with myself and others, that I can be soft, soft, and soft. My heart is saying, yes, 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 yes. I'm hearing it loud. Thank you for the gift.
Okay. From the beginning of the call, my hands were already reaching up to my heart. And I feel this group has brought me closer to the heart than I have been for a long, long time. And I was feeling into that this morning. And what is that? Because last week I couldn't get on the call. I went through the steps and, and I couldn't get the picture, couldn't get through to you. And how this incredible desire, but I want to get on. And I had to then thank the resistance, because somehow it was mirroring a real desire that it went into Technicolor of how much I'm needing this connection and how deeply I am to feel it in a whole new way. And as my hand reached to my heart this time, it was the mother of the world. Always, for me, my greatest breakthrough was the hum of love. And to have this beautiful soul come through me as a little child, dear, dear child. You are loved, you are loved, I'm here. And this, I mean, literally changed my life. And it was so beautiful because I haven't been doing this for a while, but as Shelley, you started to speak, with the meditation, I do an interesting thing with the mute. I just hum. It's like I go into the molecular structure of the sounds, the resonance, if you will, and I'm riding your wave, And Henry was speaking, and it was like feeling the sweetness of the tone and the thank you. I just feel so richly filled in my heart, and the years of body work where I had to feel hearts that had to hold up and hearts that had to hold down and hold back and hold out, and it was like, I feel the spiral, I feel the resonance, and how much the physical heart needs to dance now, needs to sing, and I give needs to hum with love. I'm complete.
Good morning, everyone. John here in Boulder. What's coming up for me is the term living resonance, coined by Shelley Darling. And softness is rather a paradoxical term. I've watched a couple amazing films this weekend, Oscar winners, one being 1917, which is about a First World War situation where a young man had to save 1,600 other soldiers by staying determined and hard and focused and in total action. And yet what allowed him to complete this almost unbelievable task was to stay in the love of his heart around not only his mission, but the people that he was attempting to save. So simultaneously, in that case, softness was paradoxically being very hard in the immediate circumstance of life. The other film was Harriet Tubman. Very similar situation, where this woman went through amazing trials and tribulations, had to get real tough, real strong, real hard, and yet the motivation was the softness of her heart, the opening to the resonant field, to knowing that the larger task and goal was love. And so living resonance, I see it as a noun and as a verb. We are living resonance, which is a doing, an action of sorts. Sorry. And living resonance, the eternal and infinite accessibility to being penetrated by the resonant field and to open the heart, soften the heart to allow that resonant field to be the informer of our actions. And so the hardness, and I remember as a child, my father saying often, toughen up, boy. Don't be so soft. Get hard, get tough. Take one for the team. Run into that wall if you have to. And yet that's a separation of an old paradigm that at one time in our evolutionary process was the theme. And now we are embarking upon this coming into union of our capacity to act, and yet we are acting from the softened, opened heart of the resonant field of love. And so we're coming into union in many ways. And so, as one of my previous teachers said, we've been trained to have a point of view, to operate out of a belief system, to operate out of defending my point of view, kind of against other points of view. But she said something that changed a lot of things for me. She goes, what if we were to drop our point of view and simply become the view? Be the view itself, living resonance. And so as we open our hearts with each other, I don't abandon my dedication to the actions, be they hard and difficult, and yet I abandon the separation that those actions are from the love, attempting more and more through your generous gifts of love and others, and opening my heart to that, to come into union with my capacity to act through living resonance. And I'll pass the crystal there. Thank you.
This is Cassandra. I'd like to pick up John's thread. Thank you for reminding me that men as well as women are told that they have to toughen up to survive in the world. I remember how soft I was. And by soft, I'm only comparing it to the defenses that I later built up. But as a child, I was naturally open, receptive. My heart was, I believe, if not mature, at least was fully engaging with everything that was happening around me. And then life gave me pause. And when I began consciously to move from me thinking to we thinking, the shift that occurred within me began that softening process, which is really just an untensing of the defenses that are built up through living. It's incredible when you recognize within yourself that something is evolving. You can feel it. You can experience it by the way that your point of view shifts. And those opportunities are nurtured by groups such as this. So I'm not convinced that we have to continue to soften so much as recognize that this is automatically happening. There is a frequency shifting that has created this tendency in all of us to seek that unfolding. So that softening is a natural byproduct of living, and that's as it should be. I'm now in my eldering years, which I am so grateful for. And I am now as as syrupy and as soft and I mean I just am. And my defenses, when they continue to show up, and they do every once in a while, someone pokes me, I give gratitude for that, because I am not who I used to be. And fully embodying who I am and who I am becoming through this process is beautiful, is beautiful. I know that about each of you. Oh.
Good morning, everyone. This is June from California. And as you're all talking, what the picture that kept coming up in my mind and heart was of a mother humming to her child who's distressed and unhappy, and the mother simply pouring out that soft love, that warmth that says everything is going to be okay. And more, as I think about it, I realize that softness is probably the toughest thing there is in the sense of strength. Softness can blow through almost anything if it's done from the heart. And so the dichotomy of strong versus soft is really sometimes misunderstood, because you can be as powerful as a brick wall if you feel powerful in your own softness. And so it's just so interesting to be listening and all these pictures flooding into my head of the times when softness either shown to me or softness that I was able to hold on to and give, move mountains. And so I find this topic very, very deep and very, very meaningful to me today, and helping me to look again at where I can soften the edges when I get upset, or soften the edges when I judge, and just love through it, and find that I can again move mountains that way, whereas my sharpness or my tightness or my toughness can hit up against a brick wall. So I have to laugh because when I was in a 20-year training, the teacher would describe us with a name. And the teacher said I was a velvet brick. And I thought, when I first heard that, I went, oh my God. I finally realized that it was a way I had of covering the strength of, by God, this is what I'm after, and this is what I'm going to do. But I realized that after the shock of the words, that I could use that in a really powerful and deep, loving way. So thank you all, and I pass the crystal and the stick back to you.
This is Henry. Just want to say, people's sharings, but also at the beginning, this is all helping me to understand what softening means. But also, I was reminded of a practice from my psychosynthesis training called disidentification. So it begins, I have a body, but I am not my body, or I am more than my body. I have emotions. Again, but I am not my emotions, I am more than them. And I have thoughts. I have point of views. But I am not my point of views, I am more than that. Or I have different roles that I play, but I am not the roles I am playing, I am more than that. So for me, that helps me to understand or move into that softening of who I think I am. I'm complete.
Softening to that which is calling me. I loved what it was said, just the whole thing. And first, when I was hearing John's words, it was like, no, it is not with the external, with the totality of me. It's like whatever we call it, the spirit, the energy, the field. It's softness towards that which is calling me to become. But then in the 3D, we create each other to be that strength outside to remind me what is here or what I'm experiencing. And that external focus becomes my inner focus to that which is calling me, to that which I said yes to. This is what I heard. And it was beautiful and so deep. Thank you.
This is Dina in Oregon. And the invitation is energetic. The vibrational match we all experience as whole beings. And there's a fierce firmness there that holds the core of the truth of our being. And the response is creation, co-creation as whole beings. And honoring the movement of our collective manifestation through our hearts and the ecstasy and the joy of being. The home frequency in motion, living resonance. I'm complete.
Hello, Jess from Wales here. Two things that are coming up. One thing is to do with the water analogy. This weekend we've had Storm Dennis, and it hit right near to me really hard. And someone I know's house was flooded. The river, we've had two storms, and the rivers were just full to overflowing, and then they burst their banks. So when June was talking about the toughest thing and the softest thing, it was reminding me of, yeah, the analogy of water being soft, but water can be hard and ferocious. And the storm of whether a wave hits the beach or a river bursts its banks, it kind of reaches a point, and then the tipping point, it just flooded into the houses. So this energy that can sweep things away, and whether that's good or bad is, who knows. But the force of it was what I was aware of. And the other thing to do with opening the heart and softness and opening the heart. For me, I have a practice where with emotions, sometimes if I'm overwhelmed by an emotion, good or bad, but often when I'm overwhelmed with grief or frustration, I imagine opening my heart and welcoming that into my heart. I actually have a little sweat lodge or a teepee, and in there all of the emotions are welcome. So I open my heart and I say, come on in, frustration, come on in, come and sit here by the fire, come and sit here. So this is the idea of opening the heart. It's kind of welcoming both the difficult and the joyful, and embracing them brings me to a place of peace and, I guess, wholeness in a way. So that was what I wanted to share, and I pass back the talking crystal.
So much in resonance, because I was thinking water and flow as well. I've been in the storm as well, but I haven't been seeing the floodings. So I was thinking how going with the flow and being like water is the picture of emotion as well, in more than one sense. And I love the beautiful story of 1917, where with all his heart he managed to reach what he was set out to do. And so there's this whole beautiful picture of the masculine and the feminine dancing along. And if this is a picture of where we're moving towards as humanity, I think it's very encouraging. I'm going to put that as talking stick.
Thank you so much. It's the water, the breaking the rivers, the banks of the river. It's that emotional force, or actually the force is not emotional, but what frees us from staying the same is when that invitation to change ourselves begins to work within, because that's where it starts. And hearing the last two descriptions of it just clarified it so much for me. Yes, the process takes care of itself for each one of us according to our own need. But first, that force must build up and it must escape the banks. And isn't that what we're talking about today? It's all good.
Transformation requires reformation. That which no longer functions falls away, and that which is emerging pushes up into existence and experience. We're collectively feeling that ride, that movement. And this is where we are always conduits of that creative force. And it keeps us pretty busy. I'm complete.
I'm going to jump in here. Wow. Just invite us to take a breath. What's surging in me is really the consciousness and choice of being willing to allow that creative force to come through and not thinking that it's too much. And that softening is the only way that this relationship with softening and compassion, that there can be compassion in the force of the expression, is a real interesting sort of conundrum, actually. And one that I feel like has been really working and wearing itself down. You know, when you think of water, you know, it softens the rock, the hardest rock. That movement, that continual movement, softens the hardest rock. And I'm just, through this experience today, you know, feeling this, how this weaving, like, to me, this is really it. This is the voice of the collective. This is the expression with its loving force, wearing down, softening the edges of my soul experience, I feel, of each one of our soul experiences. And how incredible is that? And there's so much grace in that. I mean, what an imagination the collective, that intelligence has. And in the same way, what's been coming to me is a fern frond, you know, especially in New Zealand, and where you see the ferns are just so huge, and they're this tight little ball, you know, waiting to unfurl. And I love that word, that sense of unfurling. And what happens in that unfurling is the opening, is its relationship, is its capacity to receive, right? It receives the rain, which nourishes its whole being. And I mean, what I'm experiencing right now is really, to me, the essence. I was sharing this morning with this beautiful, sweet man, 26 years old. I don't want to say he's not a boy, but this beautiful unfurling of his soul, you know. And I could tell he was a little, I chose not to go to college, to trust that. And I love the word that he used, synchronic, this synchronic expression of life that guided him, and he allowed it to happen, taking him from different countries, from Mexico to here, up in the top of the mountains in Boulder. And I feel this is the evolution of our journey, where we get to be the expression, feel that water forming us. And at the same time, you know, when you think of the mountains, they're, you know, whatever, granite or whatever rock they are, this fertile soil for the voice of the earth, right? So I'm just, I feel really grateful and feel that love, that force of that love, really forming something, really, the reformation. I love that, the reformation. Transformation requires a reformation, the reconfiguration, the remodeling, the soul remodeling of our being. So thank you. Pass the crystal talking stick.
Good morning, everyone. This is Karen in Costa Rica. When you said the water breaks down the rock, Shelley, and you mentioned the fertile soil, that's what the water does. When it breaks down the rock, it creates the fertile soil. I've been reminded of so many things through the threads of this morning. When Henry read that and we were asked what softens our hearts, what makes our hearts smile, what came to my mind was the song of a bird, the smile on a baby's face, and just being in nature. And then I was reminded of a time when I was sitting in a friend's yard just waiting for them. It was a beautiful sunny day. I'd been back from classes where I'd learned that everything communicates with me, and to pay attention for the messages, because they could come in any way and from anything. And while I was sitting there, a butterfly came to me. And the message of the butterfly was, my strength was in my vulnerability. Thank you for reminding me of that. It's been a long time since then. And I needed that reminder. And there's so much I've been being reminded of through these threads that it's just a little overwhelming. And I thank you all for your shares. And it's been a beautiful morning.
I'm just popping in to ask that, as people have been describing being the banks of the river, let's allow the people who haven't shared to have a voice here if they want to. And the rest of us will just hold the space for the full current of their expression. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's Nancy. I've been quiet today, softening with this call, actually. Someone mentioned like the humming of a mother humming, saying everything will be okay. And so I've been sitting here just hearing the hum. You're the hum. You're the mother's hum, that everything will be okay. And it's very timely because my mother just had her third anniversary of her passing. And so I've been I've been using the word fragile and other words, but really it's a softening. It's a softening into her love. But it felt more like grief sometimes. So it was hard to decipher and discern that was the softening. So thank you all for reminding me and for just being that mother's hum. This call is that mother's hum of the universe that says everything is going to be okay. And so I'm sending out my love to you. And I'm complete.
Good morning, Deborah in Tucson. What I have to share is just my own personal experience of this last week. The weather's been in the 60s, 70s, and I've spent a lot of time outside, which I do whenever I can, no matter what the temperature. But I have felt such powerful energies coming into the planet at this time and have had such powerful community group experiences. Went to an Ani DeFranco concert, and she's definitely calling out the love revolution. And I have found myself just feeling present, and in that moment of presence, softening and opening and expanding And that is really, truly, for me right now, the way to be. And so I really appreciate that this is the subject of our conversation here in the field. And I really am grateful to be opening in the field with you all. So thank you.
Greetings all. This is Kate in South Dakota. I will just, the thing I saw before I saw you all this morning was hearing about how sound is healing the reef, and your voices are the frequency that brings such healing. I mean, I just bear witness to you all that what a healing vibe we create when we gather in this circle. And so I've really enjoyed the expressions of all of the power. And it's so interesting. There's a couple of things. I took the training with Mary Ann. It was like a conversation on love and power, where she's trying to educate us on civics a little bit again, history and government. And anyway, I wrote these words on Facebook, after I was on her page, and I wrote something, and I said, I think I can safely declare the love illusion is on. And then the other interesting thing, yesterday I'm with Joseph and Nina on their Sunday morning meditation call. And my response there, Joseph actually said to me, "You're so soft today." Anyway, so your words have all brought me to an old Jane prayer that I just want to share, that goes, a weapon, howsoever powerful it may be, can always be superseded by a more powerful weapon. But there is no weapon more powerful than nonviolence and love. And I just feel the strength of the prayer, and your Velveteen Rabbit mini sermons have just been exquisite. And with that, I'll pass the feather to Brianna and Grace and whoever's there.
And hello, everyone. Thank you all for the beautiful, soulful words. And what came up for me is this is what personal heart power is. When we really allow the flow of unconditional love through our heart and through every thought, and using our will to direct that love in the flow of what we're to do next. And so thank you all for all having this wonderful personal heart power and sharing it with others.
And this is Oriana. And as often the case, I'm waiting for words and there aren't any. And while I was listening to Dina, I was looking at the picture behind her, this beautiful ocean, and your scarf is the same color. It looked like the waves were coming around you. And I was reminded of being in San Diego Bay not long ago and walking on the beach and being the water and the waves and the bay and the movement and the tide, and hearing this very clearly. The Spirit came to me and said, I am the living water. Will you be my voice? And I said yes, not knowing what that really meant or entailed or where it would lead. But it's led me to this moment, and that voice is one of no words. Through the living water, we communicate. We are one. We are the life force that is the world. May the strength and softness be with you and through you and as you. Thank you, everyone, for your voice this morning. And I was at a recent World Sound Healing Day, and Jonathan Goldman said, frequency plus sound equals healing. That was his main message to the group, a couple hundred people. Frequency plus sound equals healing. And really that's the beauty of the water, the expression through each one of us. So thank you all, and invite you to unmute yourselves. And while we do that, we'll just send this river of life and love out to whomever, and actually know that it's going there. Be it a person, be it a circumstance, be it a piece of land. So that, and also invite you to join us on our Mentoring Stewards call each week. Check out that, and that, this beautiful choir, loving resonance, living resonance, living, loving resonance. Let's just do laughter. Why do we, let's. Everyone.